So the best idols have officially returned with Zombieland Saga Revenge, the second season to what I consider to be a hit series from Studio Mappa. This came out I think in 2018 for the first season, and for me it took me by storm. I was like, okay, Zombieland Saga, what are we going to get? Immediately Truck-kun comes in and it shows us they're going to be zombies, but they're also going to be idols. And I was like, okay, this is a funny gimmick, let's see where it goes, right? But throughout its run, I really came to appreciate the characters, and especially the best manager here, Coeruleus, who was the most loudmouth, in-your-face, but even if you thought his idea of the Zombieland idol project, you know what, you had to believe in him because one, you're a little scared of the guy, but two, the passion just rubs off on you. So to end last season, where I thought I was satisfied personally. I wasn't necessarily looking for any more anime in Zombieland Saga. Of course I could see how they could do more because they pretty much end in their big shot moment. It felt like they had a fan base, they had a stage. Is it just going to be like a typical idol show going forward where they just play bigger and bigger venues to the point that we finish this man's dream? Or is there going to be something else that will turn it around? And walking into this episode, you pretty much see them back to kind of square one. It felt like, okay, they have jobs, they're blending in with normal society. People may make jabs at their looks like, are you not eating properly? I'll bring you food. Because they are zombies, they don't look the healthiest, but I mean, apparently for a month they've been blending in just fine. And certain characters are literally working at a bar and doing, well actually I guess maybe working at a bar would be the easiest way to blend in because everyone's already intoxicated, so having a zombie as your waitress probably wouldn't be all that weird. But to see a man who was so energetic, so pure of passion, literally an alcoholic down in his luck, does not care about the group anymore, I was taken back at first, and I was like, okay, Mappa's not doing any gimmicks here. Mappa's not trying to lure you in with the first episode like they did with Season 1. Season 1, they had a lot of gimmicks and a lot of new ideas to make idol fans and non-idol fans want to watch the show. Here, we know it's an idol show. At this point, we know there's no tricks or bells and whistles. The main thing was they revert them back to basically being failures, and two, we have manager just kind of down in his luck. And that's a pretty bold choice, I'd have to say, because you leave the first season, at least for me, satisfied and said, if we never got a season 2, we probably could have looked back very fondly. Hell, I've been looking back very fondly at Zombieland Saga for a few years now. So to have them be failures, because this was something at first I wanted to push back against, but as I saw the episode, I really grew to appreciate the direction they went because it feels pretty realistic. Despite us looking at zombies, it does feel like when characters and groups get their big break in, especially I feel like the music world, it's not impossible to assume that there's going to be those moments that because you now have the spotlight, now that people are actually looking at you and saying, oh, this group, this is the one we put our focus on, let's give them the chance to play at a big stadium and only 500 people out of how many? It's insane to see how big of a failure they had and how that could really screw with your ego. You're saying, look at what we did in the last episode of Season 1, look at where we went shortly after. We were failures, maybe being able to play small club rooms, but even that can give us stage fright because we remember that giant stadium full of empty people and those that were there gave us disappointing looks. To me, that's a way of saying, oh, we understand how they failed because just because they had a really good finale last season doesn't mean they're going to have that level of confidence the next time, and once you kind of get one shot, it feels like, in the music industry. And they had that one shot, and they seemingly blew it, and they were back to having debt, so that's why they're working. To me, that's a really interesting way of roping the viewers back in, saying, oh, I see why we need a Season 2, because by using this, we'll be able to rebuild the group in an even stronger fashion, and by the time we leave Season 2, we'll probably finish the manager's dream with his project and everything like that. I mean, hell, there's a lot of backstories we still don't know, and things like that. I mean, a lot of the characters don't even know which time period they came from, so there's still a lot to explore with the personal stories, but they also have a grand plot line that makes sense why we would want to come back for more, even excluding wanting to learn more about certain characters. Having a manager so down in his luck, especially considering because he's saying there is a timeline, there's a lot to explore with that plot line. I think seeing him so depressed and literally an alcoholic, all things considered, and how the girls are pretty much the one trying to bring him back and he's just throwing it in their face, I think the build up to him actually coming back too after the help of the bartender kind of edging him on, making fun of everything, saying, hey, you know, these girls have done more for you than literally anyone should. You know, it's up to you to pretty much be a man and end it so they don't have to drag out the inevitable. And then the smashing of the glass, beautiful effects. I love how it was animated, and to see him just rushing in, cheering for an encore after they're playing the heavy metal venue. and only 2 people, the original 2 fans, come back in. Every time I see these guys, I get a giant grin. I'm like, at first I was like, who cares about these characters in season 1? But every time you saw them come to their shows, you couldn't help but appreciate them. And to have literally just the escalation of them feeling so shitty about themselves, and it's understandable why. I mean, they already became failures in the world, and these people don't know them. They're literally wanting rock or heavy metal. They probably would treat rock the same way. They wanted something heavy metal, and you gave us idols and cute little girls dancing around. That's the farthest thing than what this venue wants. And to see the escalation of the fight and how, like, it was kind of like goofy at first, but then when you see the full-on brawl, when they really get going with some of the details with some of those still shots, that shit was badass. You expect that at a heavy metal gig, but you don't expect that at an idol show. And to see the contrast of fisticuffs to literally this cute song that's really... Honestly, I thought it was a great song. I'm not sure if it was something brand new or something left over from the first season's OST, but either way, it was a great song, and to see the transition of, like, literal just meatheads beating the shit out of each other to being like, oh shit, they actually have some talent. I thought it was just a great transition and gave a really good intro to this season without it having something that needed to feel gimmicky. They didn't introduce a new element. They didn't introduce aliens to make us say, wait, what? We're Zombieland Saga plus aliens? No, we're just saying, we know it's an idol show. We understand how they could fail given their success last season, and we see why we need to see more, not only to see more character personalities and story developments, but also to see this plan through to the end and what makes it such a time limit sort of situation. Like, this episode definitely wasn't as funny as I was expecting walking into it. It was much more drama filled, but I think in terms of what we know about the show, they didn't really have to make us laugh our ass off, or they didn't need to really do anything other than, I think, have a dramatic intro, because really, I'm sure I'm not the only one who felt like, okay, yeah, we want to see more episodes because of those character stories we didn't get to explore, but in terms of, like, a plot line, sure, we know he has his grand vision, but do we have to see more, right? But by having that drama just really hit you like a truck right off the bat, while we didn't have a truck literally hitting a character like in the first season, it did feel like, especially seeing such an energetic character so down in his luck, drinking his sorrow away, I mean, that felt just as powerful, just more in a dramatic sense, rather than a, what the hell, did they seriously just isekai a character here? What's going on here? I just felt like Zombieland Saga just had something that it wanted to prove to its established fan base that there's a reason to watch more, and I think a lot of times these, like, original shows have a problem with, like, knowing the fandom wants more, but not knowing what to do with more content, where Zombieland Saga Revenge says, we know exactly what we want to do, and we were hoping we would get 24 episodes, and luckily, seemingly we're getting that. I thought they came back swinging, very strong, and honestly, I'm not sure if I'm the only one saying this or thinking this. I actually thought the idol animation, where they go usually 3D when they have all the characters dancing like pretty much every idol show out there, here's looking at You Love Live, I felt like they animated it a lot better, because in season 1 it felt goofy to look at and it wasn't the prettiest thing to look at, but when you're laughing so much at Zombieland Saga, for me personally, I was like, it just adds to the humor. Here, when they were actually singing and dancing at the end, I thought it was actually really well blended for the most part. And I thought, honestly, I mean, I don't know what map has been animating idol-wise recently, but it felt like they actually animated it a lot more smoothly. And if that's a good indication of what the idol dance scenes and routines are going to look like when they do have more 3D movements and things like that, I think it's going to be really good. I really liked how the camera spun around and everything. Just felt like a really solid introduction, and I mean, I think it's going to be 12 episodes for this season. I'm excited to see where the rest is going to go and just where the characters will evolve and develop past here. Let me know your thoughts and feelings on the second season of Zombieland Saga Episode 1 down below. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, share, support, and remember to hit that subscribe button if you happen to be new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.